Hello, internet family. So I've got something for us tonight. 2 Kings 11. I'm not going to read it because it's actually the entire chapter, which is 21 verses long, and I can't pronounce a whole lot of these names. I'm not even going to try. So what happened is this is when there's a pretty gory time in Israel, and there's a lot of kings coming and going, people being slaughtered. There's a lot of gory stuff in even just this chapter alone. Athaliah, she she was the mother of Ahaziah, who was a leader in Israel previously, and when she saw that her son had been killed, she slaughtered the entire royal family, leaving almost the entire royal family, leaving what she thought to be no heirs to the throne so that she could have the throne and she became queen. What she didn't know was that an infant, it doesn't say that the boy was an infant at first, but it does say that his name was Joash. He was stashed away, hidden in the temple of God with a nurse who took care of him for 7 years. So he was hidden away. Nobody knew he existed until 7 years later. A priest was told about him after being sworn into secrecy, and then the guards were sworn to protect him, and then they crowned him, and put him on the throne. And Athaliah wound up getting murdered outside of the temple, drugged out of the temple, and killed. And Joash was king after that. And then it tells us that Joash was 7 years old. And here's where I'm getting at. Here's the revelation that I had. So, I don't know about you guys, but there's been many times in my life that it seemed like things weren't going great. It seemed like maybe the enemy was winning even. It seemed like, this can't possibly be God's plan for me right now. And I question things, and I want to hurry things, and I want things to work out. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with my camera. I want things to go the way that I think they should go, and it's just not happening. Everyone else is, all the wrong stuff is happening, and the wrong side is winning. But here's the thing. Number one, God's not on our clock. God has his own clock, which has no time on it. He just has his plan for us, and it doesn't matter what we think, what time frame we think things need to fit in. He's not bound by our imaginations, our plans, our human lifespan, any of that. He's got much bigger and better plans, and what he has planned for us stretches on into the plans he has for the people after us, and the people, it's all woven together. And it doesn't actually make very much of a difference what happens with our lives specifically in the grand scheme of things. And number two, are we actually ready? Are we actually ready for the things that God has planned for us? We might think that we are, but we're not. So babies can't be kings. So Athaliah had murdered the entire family except for who would have been an infant in that moment if 7 years later he was a 7-year-old king. So babies can't be kings. So for the plan of God to come to fruition, there had to be time. There had to be time where it looked like maybe it looked like God's people were losing. The plan of God had been thwarted and thrown away, and now someone else gets to pick what happens and someone else gets to win. That may have been what it looked like, but what was actually happening behind the scenes in the temple of God, which I think is so fitting, but behind the scenes, away from the public eye, away from, criticism, away from the threats of like what happened to Saul. He was such a humble person, and suddenly he was just this monster of a prideful man because of being king and the things that come along with it, the fame and the pride and the arrogance and all those things. So behind the scenes for those 7 years, God was cultivating what was needed for his plan. God was cultivating the person and the setting for what he wanted, what he planned to be able to happen. And babies can't be kings. So if there's anything you're waiting on, I know there's things I've been waiting on in the past that, man, the times that I was alone, being a married woman and being alone, and I'm just like, this is not possibly what God wants for my life. Well, it was. He was cultivating the way that he actually wanted things to go. He was cultivating the actual things in my marriage, in me, and in my husband, and in all of our surroundings and settings that needed to happen and needed to be cultivated for us to be where we are today and to be able to go forward from here. And the things in my life right now that I'm waiting on, that me and so many of the people that I'm connected to are waiting on. We may feel pressed, we may feel stretched, we may feel like time's running out. Like, time's been running out, but I know in my heart of hearts that what's really happening is that God is cultivating. He is preparing. He is protecting something for it to be exactly what it needs to be at exactly the right time. And the right time for God is, from in my experience, almost never the right time for myself. And I wonder if that's not the same for all of you guys too. Because, you know, I have all these other pressures, and I have my own self. Like, I'm so selfish on the inside more often than I like to admit. I have all my own desires and my own, you know, like, all of this fits me, where I want to be, where my life the way that I want it. And what God sees is so much bigger than that. It might be kind of inconvenient to us, but it's so much bigger, so much better, so much more important. And it's actually a better fit. Because the way that we want to live our lives and the way that we want to do everything now, instant gratification, give me my whole life purpose today, that would never actually work. That wouldn't fit. That wouldn't last long. And then what about tomorrow, right? So since babies can't be king, if there's anything that you're waiting on today, because I know there's a bunch of stuff I'm waiting on. If there's anything that you're waiting on today and it feels like time is running out, trust me when I say, and well, no, don't trust me, trust God. Because God is just preparing you, the other people, and everything around in your life to where everything will happen in a beautiful, perfect way that fits His plan, the way that He, the perfect designer that He is, intended for it to be. So just keep holding on and keep waiting and let Him protect you in the meantime. Y'all have a great night.